AWSKeyPairOptional Description. A key pair is a set of cryptographic keys used for authentication and encryption. It consists of a public key and a private key. The public key is stored on AWS and used to verify the authenticity of connections from your client. The private key is stored on your client and used to decrypt data and sign requests. Prerequisites: an AWS account. To create a key pair, you must have an AWS account and have permissions to create in-users. Access to the AWS Management Console. You can create a key pair using the AWS Management Console, the AWS CLI, or the AWS SDKs. Use cases: connecting to EC2 instances. When you launch an EC2 instance, you can specify a key pair. This allows you to connect to the instance using SSH or other secure protocols. Authenticating to AWS services. You can use a key pair to authenticate to other AWS services, such as S3 and CloudFront. Step-by-step implementation of general use cases. Create a key pair in the AWS Management Console. Navigate to the EC2 console. In the navigation pane, choose Key Pairs. Choose Create Key Pair. Enter a name for the key pair. Choose Create. Download the private key file. Download the private key file. The AWS Management Console will prompt you to download a private key file. This file is a text file containing your private key. It is important to keep this file secure, as anyone who has access to it can use your private key to access your AWS resources. Configure your client to use the key pair. The specific steps for configuring your client will depend on the client you are using. For example, to use a key pair to connect to an EC2 instance using SSH, you will need to add the private key to your SSH agent and configure your SSH client to use the key pair. Challenges and fixes. Lost private key. Create a new key pair. If you lose your private key, you will need to create a new key pair and update your client to use the new key pair. Note that you cannot recover a lost private key from AWS. If you have a backup of your private key, you can restore it. Key pair is not accessible. Check the permissions of the key pair. Ensure that your in-user or role has the necessary permissions to access the key pair. Key pair is not compatible with the client. Use a different key pair or configure the client to use the correct format. Some clients may require a specific key pair format, such as PEM or PPK. If the key pair format is not compatible with your client, you will need to use a different key pair or configure your client to use the correct format.